Grow your cleaning business, make more money, have more time. This is the Profit Cleaners Podcast with your hosts, Brandon Condry and Brandon Shane.
Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Profit Cleaners Podcast, the only place where you can learn from the top 1% of cleaning business owners from around the world to take it to the next level and win. I'm your host, Brandon Shane, and I'm joined by my co-host, Brandon Condry, in the house. What's going on, Brandon? We just bought some new cars. Let's dive into it.
I'm good, yeah. So, it's that time of year again. I'm trying to think of the longest span we went without buying a car, but we buy cars every year, multiple cars. In the early days when we were ramping up, we were buying a car, every 8 weeks. We were picking up a car. So
yeah, it seemed like it was even faster back then. We were hiring more teams faster.
Yeah, that was in the pre-pandemic heydays, man.
Yeah, the heyday for sure. And really, guys, we did a recent episode about cars. We've talked about cars before. We're just going to dive into a little bit more about what just happened. We acquired some new cars, how to set yourself up for scale and success, and kind of the strategy behind that. So we're going to go a little bit more in depth on that today. So I just want to touch on one more time though, like why we do this is, again, to set ourselves apart. A lot of people say don't have cars, don't have company vehicles. And we just covered a lot of that in the last episode, but this is kind of what sets us apart. If you want to grow bigger and have a company at scale, that's why we're doing it. And the branding, the lead generation that comes from having vehicles, just the reliability and reducing the variables of your team's not showing up and being unreliable, that is huge. That is the opportunity costs we talked about on the last episode. So let's just dive into it, Brandon. Like, what just happened in the last few days? We needed a new team to hire, so let's talk about like the process we went through internally. You actually personally went out, got the cars. Let's tell people like what we do in the back end, because a lot of people think it's like really expensive and they can't do it. And how do we do it? What kind of cars we use? All that. So let's just dive into those details real quick and get people.
Yeah. So the last episode was talking about why you should buy company cars instead of having the employees use their own. So if you want to know the reasoning behind that, listen to the last episode. I mean, the spoiler alert there is that this is how you scale. Like, it's more legitimate to have your own cars with your branding on it, and you have more control. So, Profit Cleaners is really based around scaling your cleaning company. It's in the name. Like the intro that comes on before this podcast says, earn more money, get more profit. Like that's what we're doing. So if having your employees do their own cars just seems, I don't know, like small scale. Like if you want to focus on getting yourself a job, you, the owner, I have a job running this cleaning company that I own, that seems very mellow and steady and not stressful, then that's the make your employees drive their own car. But we're building like a little empire, small empire. It's a regional cleaning company empire, and we're doing it with cars. So this is going to talk to you about the strategy, really. So our director of operations, Claudia, tells us, hey, we're ready for another team. And we have metrics inside that we track when we're ready for another team. We start kind of shopping around for one when we hit 95% of capacity. So when we have only 5% left on the schedule, we start looking for another car so that we're never having to tell customers, ooh, sorry, we're full, bye. Like, we're still running ads. So we want to be able to tell them, yep, we'll get you going next week or whatever it is. So they tell us to go for a new car. One thing that we discussed with our CFO recently, and this was actually the first time we got to put it into practice, is that we should buy more than we need so that one is ready for the next time that we're good to go. Because the issue is we hit 95%, cool, let's go get a car. This was really a problem during the pandemic. Cars were really hard to find because of massive supply chain disruption that was totally out of our control. So cars were difficult to find. The other things that can happen is maybe financing is difficult, cash flow wise, whatever you got going on at the time when you're like, we need another team, but we can't afford the car. So what we did was, okay, we're in a position where we need the team and we can afford the car. So what we did was we reached out to a couple dealers, said we wanted to get them. We drive Kia Souls, by the way. Said, we're ready. We need 2. What can you do for us? And this is all by email or phone or text message. I don't even live where the dealer is. So they say, yeah, we can get this, this, and this. Like, okay, great, cool, let's do it. And one thing that's big for us is I don't want we're big enough now and old enough now as a business that I don't want those car loans attached to my personal credit or Brandon's personal credit. When you're brand new, you will be required to offer what's called a personal guarantee, and they will check your credit to do that. But when you get to a certain point, you no longer have to do that, and we are well past that point. So they were able to get a business loan, zero money down. We didn't have to put any money on these cars. We just did it all over the phone, basically, and then I had to drive down there and sign some papers. But the beauty of buying two, we needed the 15th car, so we're rolling out the 15th team on July 1st. We're recording this on June 20th. We picked up the cars yesterday. So July 1st, that team's going to be out making money. That car was $23,000, I think. And we put no money down. We got a 4-year loan. I think it was 12% interest rate. Interest rate's not great, but it's not super high either. I think, inflation's still up there. But here's what I was concerned with. I don't care about the interest rate. I care about the monthly payment. What was the monthly payment? And it was $540. What's $540? Our average invoice is $240. They will earn that monthly payment in the first 3 hours of the first day of the month. And then everything past that is revenue that the car is generating. So Brandon mentioned something earlier about people being worried that this is so expensive. It's so expensive to buy these cars. Yeah, man, it's 30 grand, like 25 grand, whatever. True. But by us putting the car on and filling it with paying customers, that thing generates 10x what it cost. It's going to generate $312,000 a year. So it's not an expense in my mind. This is an asset that generates money. So we are buying a money printing machine. It just has 4 wheels on it and it's green with a broom on the top. So that's what we did. You have any thoughts there?
Yeah, I love that. That's exactly what it is. It's reframing in your mind. Like, a lot of people think, oh my gosh, how am I going to hire employees? How am I going to afford this thing, a car, which is going to not only get your team to deliver the product on time reliably, but it's also going to brand you all over the community, generate new customers. Like what Brandon's saying is, look at what you're investing your money in: people, cars, these kind of things. Our systems, our assets, like Brandon said, that are actually going to make you a lot more money. So it's really an investment. It's not a cost, because on the backside of it, that's that opportunity to cost we talked about on the last episode, which is there's so much more upside to having a car. You have more control. You have the branding. You have lots more customers. That one monthly payment, if you get one customer to notice that car driving around and call that number, boom, you just paid for it like 10 times over, because every customer is worth $6,000 a year if it's a bi-weekly customer, right? So that car pays for itself very, very quickly. And we covered a lot of that in the other episodes. But Brandon, maybe just mention too, like, why did we go with a brand new car? Can you get a used car? Have we done that? What's the difference?
We've done used cars in the past. That's totally an option. That was how we did it in the beginning. We paid cash. There's an episode we have out there, our biggest mistakes. That was one of our biggest mistakes, was paying cash for those cars. But with used cars, there's a couple things going on there. They're cheaper, yes, but usually the financing is much less favorable. You typically have to put more money down if you're going through like a third-party business financing sort of setup. And really, you're just inheriting someone else's problems. With a new car, I know what we broke on it. You know what I mean? Like, it was our miles, and we get it inspected every 6 months by a certified mechanic. So I just don't know what happened to that car beforehand. So there's just a little bit of risk. And ultimately, used cars are coming typically from private sellers. And so, or CarMax, for instance. And I can't call them up and be like, hey man, cut me a deal. I need 2 of these. They can't do that. Dealerships selling new cars have a lot of leeway. Not a lot maybe, but they have leeway more compared to used cars to cut you a deal. The private seller doesn't care that you're going to come back and buy more cars in the future, because the private seller only has 1 car. That dealer that we do business with, we bought 5 cars from them in a year. So they love us. So the next time I call, someone answers my call and is excited to talk to me. And for instance, one of the cars we bought was on one of their, they have another dealership in a town called Las Cruces, which is like a couple 100 miles south. It's down by El Paso. And they drove it up there for us for me to pick up in Albuquerque. They did not charge us a transfer fee to do that. That's the benefit of working with a dealer and buying brand new cars. The reason we bought 2 is we are trying to do something different this time, which is we're going to get the next team's car ready to go, even though we don't have it. And we're going to be paying for it in the interim. But that car is going to do a couple things. It's going to be branded. the office is going to use it to run errands. So instead of driving a personal car to go pick up supplies or do inspections, it's another car showing up with our branding all over it. People see it around town. That part's really hard to quantify, but it's priceless. It's a good setup. And then the next time, we anticipate in 2 to 3 months, we'll need Team 16. And so the office team says, hey, we need Team 16. Cool. It's already there. Like, you have it. You guys get to pick when you launch it. So they'll put it on the calendar. I don't have to do anything. It's already ready. Now, this is where we have to put this cycle into practice, but they're going to launch Team 16. Immediately, we turn around and buy Team 17. Even though we don't need Team 17, we buy that car. That means the office still has their errand car and we're still ready to roll. So that means if you have let's say you had a really busy spring cleaning and you could have launched 3 teams in 4 months if you had the capacity to do it. This is how you generate the capacity. Every time you buy a car, just buy an extra one. And now you're one step ahead of the game for the next time you need to launch. You have it ready to go. And then the beauty is when you go to replace the errand car, you can run into delays and it will not affect you because there's not customers waiting. So if there's a delay on receiving it at the dealer, no big deal. We don't actually need it. If there's a delay at the paint shop or the graphics shop getting your wrap installed, doesn't matter. We're not actually using this to run out to paying customers yet. We're just getting it set up. So we're setting ourselves up for scale. This is how you do it.
Yeah, I love that. It just, opening up that capacity, because there's been many bottlenecks in the past where we have not done this, and that is the problem. We have, like, Claudia or someone on our team is like, hey, we need another team, like a month ago or 2 months ago almost, and now we're running behind and we're scrambling, and we it's not a good place to be because your capacity is shorted, and you don't have the ability to grow as fast. So in this regard, now we are able to scale. We have the capacity, and we're setting ourselves up for success. And Brandon, maybe just describe. A lot of people think it's like $5,000 to wrap a car. Is that the case? How do we do it? It's a little bit different.
It is about that much to wrap a car. So we looked at both when we did it.
Well, yeah.
And so a wrap is like.
But that's not
how we do it. But
right? Because we're
when we started, we were like,
right.
We should wrap these cars because those look cool. And then we went and talked to a graphics guy, and he was very honest. He was a good friend of ours, and he said, like, look, down here, wraps last like 3 years and you have to redo it. And that's because we live in the desert and the sun is brutal down here and the UV just beats those things to death. And so he was quoting us, this is back in 2017. He quoted us $3,500 in 2017 and we were like, no way. So what we did instead was we painted it. So it was, back then it was $700 to paint the car. Now it's $1,700 to paint the car. But so what we're going to pay is $1,700 in paint to completely change the color of the car. It will always be this Sandia green clean turquoise color. And then we pay about $300 to $400 in stickers. And the stickers can come off easily. And one of the things that we do every year is we, are very fortunate to run a very well organized and successful company. And we win these Best of the City awards from local publications almost every year. And so whenever we win one of those, we take that little medallion graphic that they give us and stick it on the car. If you had a full wrap, you would have to redo the wrap to get the new sticker on there. But because it's just a car, we just stick another sticker on there and it's no big deal. So it's us doing graphics on top of paint is able to let us change the graphics frequently, change them out, like one of them out if it gets damaged, as opposed to doing a whole rewrap. It's just more economical for us. We have had people that we know that can't find that deal. Like there's one guy in Canada in particular that was like $10,000 to paint the car and $5,000 to wrap it, I think. And so in his case, he wrapped it. That makes economic sense for him. It did not for us, and your mileage may vary depending on where you are, whether it's more expensive to wrap or paint a car. Yeah. It just depends. So for us, it worked out to paint it. We did it once and it looked ridiculous in traffic and we never looked back because that's the whole point. It is basically a billboard.
Yeah, absolutely. It's bright, it's remarkable, it's eye-catching. And when you guys are making the design for your car, this is actually really fun. It's a really fun piece of your business that you can really take a lot of pride in. But ultimately, those cars, ever since the beginning, we've never had to rewrap them or paint them or anything. So that's the other benefit of doing it that way. The wrap is going to be a lot more costly. You have to shift it out a lot more often. Right? We've never had any issues, Brandon, with the current paint jobs or the decals.
No, the paint's been solid.
So it does work.
It comes with a warranty. I mean, I think most of them are expired for warranty. Like the way that this aftermarket paint works is the more you pay, the longer the warranty is, the more coats they do. We just do a straight up spray paint the car. That's it. So they're painting it over and a clear coat on top of that, on top of whatever was underneath. We do not strip the car. This is not like we're not restoring a hot rod here. Like we want the color. That's it. If it gets scratched, we can go back and have them touch it up because they have our paint colors in the system. It's all good. So yeah, it's worked out well for us. We recommend it to other people. I don't think anyone has gone so far as to paint it that I know of in the profit cleaners world, like in the students world, but a lot of people are going with wraps. And if that's what works out for you, it's cool. I will say that if you're hesitant, like maybe this isn't going to work out, a wrap is better because a wrap can be undone. So like the resale value of your car is higher. The resale value of our Kias is probably quite low because it's a bizarre color that no one wants to drive.
Yeah, but it stands out. And so if you guys can pick something that is not like every other car on the road, it really, like you can see our cars like coming down the highway, like from way far away. They stand out like a sore thumb. So that's what you want. If you're not able to start that way, that's fine. Like bootstrap it. Like you can put a magnet or a car topper. Like a car topper is make it look unique, make it look wacky. If you got to start out a different way, just bootstrap it. You know that you don't have to start out exactly with a car that way, but it does help. It's a great asset to your business, and ultimately that's kind of how we do it. So you know, Brandon just acquired 2 new cars this week. We're getting them rolling. We're going to fill them up, and that's what our CFO told us to do. He was like, you guys need to open up capacity. We got to grow, get some new cars out there, right? So that's what we did. Just catching you guys up on the update. So yeah, but 15 cars.
16.
Let's keep going,
16,
Brandon.
man. We got 15 paying
16
cars, but the 16th is waiting there in the wings. The other benefit, and because we have 14 that we've been using until yesterday, but with 14 cars, there's a lot of miles getting put on those cars and things are happening to the cars. There's flat tires. They may have to go in for repair, which takes a while. Or what we've been doing in the past to sort of keep the customers happy and keep the money coming in is we would rent a car for a week, you know, from Enterprise or something, and we no longer have that expense. So locally, us renting a car from a local place is about $300. That's half the car payment on just having a car sit there and be available 24/7. So we now are essentially, we bought a rental car, like we're renting the car to ourselves. And so we've had issues with, I don't know, the local junkies drilling holes in gas tanks and stealing gas, which I'm very offended by. Could you not just stick a hose down the door and steal it that way so I don't have to pay to replace the tank? I'm happy to do that instead. Can we do that? I might make a sign that just says, look, man, if you're going to steal it, could you just put a hose in the tank? We'll call it good. But yeah, so like...
We'll just leave a hose out for them.
The next time that happens, you know, I'm sure it will happen again until we get a fence installed around all the cars. But the next time it happens, you know, there's less of an issue because we're going to take that one to get replaced. Yes, I still have to pay to have a gas tank repaired. But instead of us renting a car and then showing up in a no-name car, we still have a branded car to show up in. So it's like a contingency plan. And also the pre-planning for scale for the Team 16. So there's options.
Yeah. Or worse yet, if you let your teams just drive their own cars, someone drills their gas tank, and then they can't show up the next morning, and then you got to cancel all your clients.
And then they're mad at you because they did it under the job, and they're going to quit because you're not going to pay because it's their car. Man, there's a whole can of worms. Go listen to the last episode about the can of worms. Like we've talked about that a couple of times too. But this is a new model for us. Pre-buying a car that we don't need and having it be used as the errand car, but that means that in-person inspections will have a branded car show up. You know, one of our employees who does the inspections, her insurance actually won't let her drive her car for work stuff like that. They won't cover those things, and so now she can drive our car, which is covered under our insurance, and it's all set. So yeah, that's the setup. So you know, that's why we're here. We're here to build for scale, and this is just another little tool in the toolbox to keep setting ourselves up for success. So the next time around, ta-da, there's a car ready to go. So if the sales team happens to have like a really awesome July, and instead of it being 3 months out like we guessed, it's like 5 weeks, cool. We have a car ready. It is ready to go. We do not have to mess around with going back and getting another loan and doing this and that and trying to find one. And, you know, Souls are still pretty popular, and we got, I don't want to buy the GT Soul that has all the leather and fancy stuff, and I want the low level ones, and sometimes those are kind of hard to find, and they were able to find us too. There was only one in Albuquerque and one in Las Cruces, but that means that next time we go to buy one ahead of the next team launch, that we just have more time. We have more time to get what we want without overpaying.
Yeah, I love it, man. So if you guys are listening, that's your homework. If you haven't looked into this, go out and do a little investigation, experimentation, talk to some dealers in your market, see what this would look like, talk to some paint people, see what that would look like. But ultimately, I haven't seen a whole lot of other companies driving around doing this in Albuquerque in our main market. But you know, we're crushing it. We're the #1 player in the market, and it looks and feels like it. When people think of, you know, hear our brand, they see it all over the place. That's what it feels like too. So if you guys want to scale to that level, model what we're doing. That's what this is all about. Modeling what works to compress time and help you guys shave 10 years off your life to get to the success you want to get to. So that's why we're sharing these stories. Take it or leave it, but take action either way, guys. So if you guys are getting value out of the podcast, please take out your phones or wherever you're at right now, leave us a review, share this out, like it, whatever it is. Subscribe to the show, guys. But let us know how we're impacting your life. If we made you smile, laugh, if we inspired you, whatever it might be, let us know with a review. That's the best way you can let us know, or reach out at hello@profitcleaners.com. And we'd love to hear your stories or anything you want to tell us. And go watch the masterclass one last time, and just mention that too. profitcleaners.com/masterclass. If you guys want to learn more about how to take your business to the next level, we'll teach you all that there, and you can book a call with our team and talk to us as well. So I think that's pretty much it, Brandon, but I'm excited for these new cars to get on the road. We got new capacity, new growth potential. I'm excited.
Yeah.
Man, so
in the meantime, keep it clean.
Let's do it.
Thanks for joining us today. To get more info, including show notes, updates, trainings, and super cool free stuff, head over to profitcleaners.com. And remember, keep it clean.